feel like this episode should have dropped during Mother's Day because, baby, all the parents were on their kids and it had me flabbergasted. But, baby, those mamas, they ain't come to play. But let's talk about it. So, first things first, let me just say, Simone, my girl looked good with the locks in her head, okay? But more importantly, I knew this episode was going to pop up with some mess because the opening scene alone said a lot. Being that at this point in the show, we know that Damon is upset with JR and Simone because he found out that they were working together to figure out who could be his parents, even though he didn't want to know and they knew that. So in the opening scene, Simone compares Damon ignoring her to her mom not speaking to her. And it's like, girl, Simone, please, they are not the same. But okay, sis. So from all that, I knew it was about to be a messy episode. And before I move on, let me just also say this. Whoever wrote the lines for the Brinkston family and blood family tie could have went a little harder. I mean, I knew what y'all was trying to do, but it wasn't no for me. It just wasn't executed well.
But my Brinkston family lied to me about who my blood family might actually be.
So moving on in the show, I want to talk about JR and his problems, being that he had a meltdown in the last episode because of his parents getting divorced. So at this point, JR has decided to quit the baseball team because he doesn't feel connected to it because it was a sport he learned from his father. But now his father has upset him by breaking up their family. He doesn't want anything to do with it. So now he doesn't have anything to do and decides to go home and see his mom and dad. And when he gets home, he sees that they are selling their family home. Just adding on to the list of things they were keeping away from him. And it's just irritating at this point. Like, y'all gotta give to give. I mean, keep hiding everything from this boy. But anyways, now in one of my previous recaps, I was going in on JR mom because I was upset that she wasn't there for him when they wanted to tell JR about the divorce. But now after seeing this episode and finally being introduced to the mother, my feelings on her has changed. And granted, we don't know exactly why his parents are getting divorced, but it is obvious that the father is the reason why. Like,
sometimes people just fall out of love. That's all.
So finally, JR dad finds out that he has quit the baseball team. And of course, his dad is upset that he didn't tell him. But it looks like the cat is calling the kettle black because he has been doing the same thing to JR about the entire situation with the divorce. So it's the audacity for me. But in doing so, his dad starts calling him weak. And I'm over here like, whoa, 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 Pops, chill out, okay? But come to find out, JR had a condition called aplastic anemia. I think that's how you say it. But him having that condition really did make him weak, which is why his father said that. But still, I didn't like the way his dad was speaking to him. And to be honest, I feel like the show is cheating JR out of scenes and writing. Because there was a great opportunity for JR to give more and give some sort of pushback and emotions towards his father when he was getting yelled at. But we got nothing. The scene felt so incomplete because JR was emotionless. And yes, most young adults are like that. But I don't know, something about my daddy bringing up my disability to try and bribe me into going back to playing a sport for his own selfish reasons don't sit right with me. And it shouldn't sit right with JR. Hell, even a mom called the dad out about it because she was just over it. I mean, she over the daddy, so she over him trying JR. Not trying JR, but, you know, over pushing him.
Everything JR does is to please you.
And after all that with his parents, JR leaves and goes to the weekly dinner the friends have at Amara's place and pull Damon to the side to tell him he thinks they should have take a DNA test. Now, to be honest, I do agree that they do need to take one just so we can finally get this over with and see what's what with them. But another part of me feels like if they do find out they are brothers, then what does that look like for his family that is currently in shambles right now? Granted, at this point, I don't think they are brothers. But if they are, I just think this will literally be the worst time to find out. But it may be the positive light that JR needs right now, which is probably why he is so eager to find out.
I think we should take a DNA test.
done with JR and his family problems, I think it's time for me to get into Simone and her a-hole of a mom, Tina. Lord knows I cannot stand the lady. This episode was supposed to be about Simone spending time with her baby Shay. I said her baby Shay, but baby Shay. But child boo, Simone moms comes into town and well, things change. So I thought she was doing, you know, random pop-ups as if her and Simone was cool like that. But come to find out, Amara decided to invite her sister into town for her, Simone, and baby Shay to, you know, have a little bonding time. But I don't know what in the world made Amara think that. And to be honest, I think Amara really wanted her sister to come into town so the two of them can have some exchange of words, which they eventually do have. But before I get into that, I got to get into how terrible of a mom Tina is to Simone. Like, I have to.
Mom, what are you doing here?
Now, when Tina came in town, she was able to convince Simone to do brunch and let Simone show her around campus or whatever. Even though we know she really doesn't care. So while they were out and she was seeing what the school has to offer as an HBCU, she told Simone that, you know, she was wrong for giving her a hard time and they are, you know, and they were having, you know, a cute sentimental moment. And I was happy for them and I was rooting for the mom. Like, maybe she's changing and accepting. But no, she had me fooled just like she had Simone fooled, because some reporter lady from the Atlanta Law Review popped up out of nowhere, started taking pictures of Simone and her mom in their little sentimental moment. And we find out this lady is a fraud, and not the reporter, but the mom. So Tina was basically using her child for content. That's it. It was pretending that she really was happy for Simone, trying to capitalize off of some fake love and support she has for her daughter. Like, that's beyond sick. And when Simone told her that she was not about to be a part of the article with her, she had the audacity to not only get mad at Simone, but try and bribe her to be a part of the interview by telling her that she would pay for her room and board at the school. Just a nasty woman, okay? Nasty and despicable. Ugh.
You can just tell her I said she's Mother of the Year.
Now, earlier in the episode, Simone was talking to Nate and Keisha and hinted that her mom must have always been the way that she is now. But then later on in the episode, we find out the history of Tina and the sacrifices she made for Amara when they were in school. And she brought up how when their dad died, they really didn't have enough money for the both of them to go to school. So Tina took a semester off so Amara could finish, which Amara did not know anything about. And granted, when she did find out, she was appreciative of her sister's sacrifice. But she also had to let Tina know that she was hard on her and that she was pushing her to accomplish dreams and goals that wasn't her own. And because Amara did what she wanted to do, Tina basically stopped talking to her and separated herself from her sister. Because I believe in her mind, Tina thinks Amara is a failure or some sort, and she resented her. But really, all the moves she made was her own moves. It wasn't like Amara said, yeah, let me go to school first and you go to school. No, you made that decision on your own. And that's what I don't like. Granted, I can respect what Tina did for Amara. But if it was going to turn her into an ugly person, then she shouldn't have done it. Especially since it wasn't genuine. And she made it all about her and what she wanted, not caring what her sister wanted. And now she is doing the same thing to Simone.
You lied to me? For almost 2 decades?
Now, even though Tina is mean, I can say that some of the things she was getting on Amara about were things she needed to hear. Because although it is nothing wrong with where Amara is now in her career, it's just, she should be way further. And now that she's being blackballed at the school, it's basically like another setback, and Amara doesn't have any fight back in her. And it's letting the people at the school push her out slowly. Now, the thing is, Amara could be long gone, writing for publications, taking bigger and better opportunities. But she loved Princeton and the students and loved being a professor, which is fine. But she is playing it safe and settling. And I think the fight she had with her sister brought it to her attention. And towards the end of the episode, she decided that she was going to start fighting back and pushing for them to make her tenure at the school, which, I mean, is more money and more power. So I'm happy for her. And of course, eventually, Tina comes to her senses and realizes she has been a terrible mom. And of course, eventually, Tina comes to her senses and realizes she has been a terrible mom to Simone. Which, I don't know how she didn't know that from the beginning. But whatever, we'll take the slow progress she is giving. But she finally had a talk with Simone and is ready to accept baby Shay for one. And also be okay with the move Simone is making for her own life on her own and not doing what the mom is telling her to do. But yeah. Now moving on to Damon, who mom also did a pop-up and came into town. And I must say, I like Damien's mom this episode, and I think it's because she was really showing the mom side of her and not the manager side of her, being that he cut her off for being his manager anyways, which clearly was a smart choice because her whole demeanor towards him is different, and I like it. So Damien is in this place where he wants to find out who his real parents are, but also doesn't want to hurt his mom's feelings about it. But he also kind of needs her so she can kind of guide him on where to look and start. And we went the entire episode with him hiding it from her, only for him to find out that she doesn't know anything about the real parents in the adoption because the person that took over is his dad, who has Alzheimer's and doesn't remember anything. But beyond that, Damon had to endure dealing with his teammate Santiago because he was going to be the replacement for JR, and Damon in his big-headed self didn't want to work with the guy because he felt like Santiago didn't like him. Which, I mean, he didn't, but in a way, Santiago wasn't wrong for not liking Damon because he was so conceited in the beginning and disrespected the team so much in the beginning. So, I mean, I know he was with Santiago. But because the two of them couldn't get along, Coach Marcus made them volunteer for a booster event, kind of forcing them to bond with each other off the field so they can, you know, be on one accord on the field. And it worked. So while they were at the volunteer event, a black kid and a Spanish kid went up to them because, of course, they knew who Damon was, and the Spanish kid was just happy to see someone like him that plays for a good school. So they was, you know, talking to the kids and basically giving them advice. And while doing that, they were also getting to know each other and finally understanding one another. Now, in a scene where Damon and Santiago was speaking on the importance of an HBCU to the kids, I must say it was cute, but it didn't hit how it should have hit. To be honest, I feel like this was the opportunity for them to go deep on how HBCUs are more accepting to all people than other schools like Ivy Leagues and PWIs. But they kept it simple. And I mean, the moment was cute, like I said, and it did help them be on the same page that made them win their first game. So I guess that was big. They accomplished what they needed to accomplish.
It's not about who you are or where you come from. Like, we represent something bigger than.
Now let me end this recap off with Keisha and all her drama because my girl really be over there better with things, okay? So last episode, Keisha won the dance competition with her little mediocre moves she gave. Granted, she was giving face and personality, so maybe, you know, that's what sold the folks. I don't know. But she won the competition, which means she was going to be in a music video. And she had the opportunity to be the lead dancer, but the choreographer didn't think she would have the time to rehearse, being that she was a pre-med student, which, I mean, is true. So basically, she's missing out on huge opportunities in something she has a passion for because she doesn't want to get her dad upset, which I get. But at some point, she's going to have to live in her truth or she's going to resent her dad. But then again, her dad is going to resent her. So it's just so much for Keisha to contemplate on. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's her life. So with her and Kim being in their little situationship, she was telling him everything going on. And of course, he went to huffing and puffing all mad that she is still hiding it from her dad. And of course, every now and then, he would say something of substance that would have her thinking. And this time, he was able to motivate her to fight for what she wanted. And that led her to dropping her classes and her dad finding out. And that's when everything broke loose.
I just got a call from your advisor. You giving up on becoming a doctor because of a music video?
So when the dad confronted her about it, he was upset as expected. But what I didn't like was he wanted to break Keisha and make her feel bad by saying her mom, who passed away from freaking cancer, would be so disappointed in her. And that is very hurtful to say, and he knows that, which is why he says it every chance he gets. That's just so terrible that he does that. Like, the girl mom is gone, and you don't know how she would have felt. So to say that out of spite is just, But the positive light out of this is Nate being the lovely realist we need in the show. Stepped to Kim and told him that he better take Keisha serious and be all in because she is basically making moves that she's been scared to do for a long time. But when Kim pushed her to say something about it, she hops up and do it. So Kim took that in from what, you know, Nate said. So Kim took that in and was ready to be all in with Keisha and was going to let her know, take her on her dad, you know, winding down her. But she ended up bucking him. And I think the fight with her dad had a play in it, or maybe Keisha is just too scared to even take it that far with him. I don't know. We shall see. Well, that's all I have to say in my recap for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you have thoughts, you already know what to do. Like this video and show your girl some love. Comment your thoughts and let's discuss what we thought of this episode and where we think things are heading. And last but certainly not least, subscribe and join the Queen, baby. Bye.